I still remember that night. The night I saw Pastor Samuel carry his own child into the church and bury her under the pulpit. People think I'm lying when I say it. They say a man of God can never do that. They say I was dreaming. But I know what I saw. I was there. I heard the dirt fall on the small coffin. I smelled the wet ground. I heard the baby cry one last time before the sound was cut off forever. I was only 14 years old. The story started in Agbor, Delta State. That was where I grew up with my parents and my two brothers. We lived in a small rented house close to the market. Life was not easy. My mother sold tomatoes, my father worked as a tailor. Money was always tight, but we survived. Every Sunday we went to church. The church was called Mountain of Everlasting Fire Ministry. It was not a big church, but it was always full. People said the pastor was powerful. They said he healed sickness, gave people jobs, broke curses, and even helped women get pregnant. The pastor's name was Pastor Samuel Oj. He was tall, light-skinned, with a loud voice that could shake the whole building. Everybody respected him. Some even feared him. He moved around like he was not a man, but a god. I was just a teenager, but even then I felt something was not right with him. One Sunday morning, during service, something strange happened. A woman came forward for prayer. She said her child had been sick for weeks. The pastor placed his hand on the child's head and started praying in tongues. The child began to cry, then suddenly went quiet. At first people shouted hallelujah and clapped, thinking the sickness had gone. But I was sitting close. I could see the child's chest was not moving. The child was not breathing. The woman screamed, "My baby! My baby!" But Pastor Samuel shouted over her, "Silence. The spirit is moving." Two ushers rushed forward and carried the child outside. We never saw that child again. Nobody asked questions. The mother stopped coming to church. People whispered, but no one spoke out loud. That was the first time I felt fear in that church. Pastor Samuel lived in the church compound with his wife and their only daughter, Blessing. Blessing was about 5 years old then. She was small, quiet, always holding her mother's hand. She liked to play around the church after service, running barefoot with other children. I remember she used to come to my mother's store sometimes. My mother would give her tomatoes to play with. She was a sweet little girl. One day, during Bible study, I overheard two women talking at the back of the church. They said the pastor's wife had been pregnant many times before Blessing, but all the babies died. They said she had gone to many hospitals, but no doctor could explain it. One woman whispered, "It is sacrifice. That man is using his own children for power." The other woman told her to shut up before somebody heard. I pretended I didn't hear, but the words stuck in my head. It was not long before I started having dreams. The first dream, I was inside the church at night. The lights were off, but the pulpit was glowing. I saw Pastor Samuel digging at the center of the altar. A baby was crying. I tried to run but my feet would not move. When I woke up, my whole body was shaking. The second dream, I was walking past the church at midnight. I saw a small coffin in front of the door. When I looked inside, Blessing was lying there with her eyes open. She whispered, "Help me." After that dream, I was too afraid to go near the church alone. Sometimes, when I couldn't sleep, I would sit by the window of our house and look outside. From there I could see the top of the church building. One night, I saw light inside the church even though it was after midnight. I saw shadows moving. I heard voices singing, low and deep, not like the usual worship songs. It sounded like chants. I asked my mother about it the next morning. She said, "Don't talk about what does not concern you. Pastor is praying for the church." That's how power comes. But it did not sound like prayer to me. Then came the day everything changed. It was a hot afternoon. I went to the church compound to fetch water from the borehole. I saw Blessing sitting alone near the steps. She looked sad. I asked her why she was not playing. She whispered, "My daddy said I am going to sleep in the church tonight." I laughed and asked if it was a night vigil. She shook her head and looked down. "He said I would be with Jesus soon." The way she said it made me cold inside. That evening, we didn't see Blessing again. Her mother was crying quietly the next day. Pastor Samuel told the church that Blessing had gone to visit her grandmother in Benin City. But I didn't believe him. It was 2 weeks later when I saw the truth with my own eyes. That night, I couldn't sleep. Something pulled me outside. I walked slowly to the church compound, hiding behind trees. The church door was open. A dim lantern was burning inside. I crept closer and peeped through the window. What I saw will never leave my mind. Pastor Samuel was standing at the center of the church, sweating, holding a shovel. There was a hole in the ground, right under the pulpit. Beside the hole was a small coffin. His wife was kneeling on the floor, crying and shaking. She kept saying, "Please, not my child. Please." But Pastor shouted at her, "Do you want to lose everything? Do you want to see me fall? Power demands blood." Then he lifted the coffin and lowered it into the hole. I heard a muffled cry from inside. The child was still alive. It was Blessing. I froze. My mouth went dry. Tears rolled down my face, but I couldn't move. Pastor Samuel started covering the coffin with sand. His wife screamed and tried to stop him, but 2 strong men, church workers, held her back. The sound of the shovel hitting the dirt, the weak cry from inside the coffin, that sound has followed me all my life. I ran home that night shaking, but I never told anyone. Not yet. After that night when I saw Blessing's ghost at my window, I could no longer pretend everything was fine. Something inside me broke. I felt like I was carrying a heavy secret that was eating me alive. Everywhere I went, I felt eyes on me. At the market. At school. In the street. Even in my own house. It was like someone was watching, waiting. I stopped going out at night. I stopped playing with friends. I stopped sleeping well. Each time I closed my eyes, I saw the church. I saw the pulpit. I saw the coffin. And I always heard the cry. My mother started to worry about me. She asked if someone was troubling me in school. I shook my head. My father thought I was just being lazy and shouted at me more often. I couldn't tell them. They would never believe me. One Sunday, the pastor announced there would be a 3-day revival program. He said it would be powerful, that people from other towns would come. Everyone clapped. I wanted to run away. The revival started on Wednesday. The church was full. People were shouting, clapping, rolling on the ground. Pastor Samuel's voice was louder than I had ever heard it. He was sweating so much it looked like rain was pouring on him. He kept shouting about fresh fire and new power. During the second night, something happened that froze my blood. While people were praying, I felt the ground move again. I pressed my feet into the floor, and I could swear I felt something knocking from under the pulpit. It was faint, but it was there. Like someone trapped below, banging, begging to be let out. I looked around, but nobody else reacted. They were too busy shouting "Amen" and speaking in tongues. Tears filled my eyes. I wanted to scream, but my voice was locked inside me. After the service, I waited outside while my parents talked with other members. I saw Pastor Samuel come out of the church. His eyes were red like fire. When he saw me, he stopped. He smiled again, that strange smile, and called my name. "Ada," he said softly, "come." My heart pounded. I shook my head. He frowned, then nodded slowly. "The Lord will use you," he said. His voice was calm, but it felt like a threat. That night, I couldn't sleep. My stomach hurt, my head hurt, everything hurt. I prayed, but I didn't feel God. I only felt fear. On the last night of the revival, I decided I couldn't stay quiet anymore. I wanted proof. Something I could show. Something that would make people believe me. I waited until everyone slept in our house. Then I slipped out quietly, my heart racing. The road to the church was dark. My feet moved fast, even though every part of me wanted to turn back. When I reached the church, the gate was open. That alone was strange. The compound was quiet, but I saw a faint light inside. I crept to the window again. My hands were shaking. Inside, I saw Pastor Samuel. He was not alone. 6 men were kneeling, the same ones I had seen before. They were shirtless, their bodies covered in strange marks. They were chanting. In front of the pulpit, there was another small coffin. My breath caught in my throat. The pastor's wife was there too, tied to a chair. She was crying, begging him to stop. Pastor Samuel raised his hands and shouted, "Power demands blood. The gods have spoken. The church must rise higher." He opened the coffin. Inside was a small boy, maybe 2 years old. His eyes were wide with fear. He tried to cry, but his mouth was gagged. I almost screamed. My hands covered my mouth in time. My whole body was shaking so hard I thought I would collapse. The men started clapping and chanting louder. Pastor Samuel lifted the boy out of the coffin and placed him on the ground in front of the pulpit. He picked up a small knife. "No," his wife screamed, "please, no. Not another one." The pastor ignored her. He held the knife high. I couldn't watch. My stomach turned. I closed my eyes, but I still heard it. The sound. The sharp cry. Then silence. When I opened my eyes again, the boy was lying still. Blood stained the floor. The pastor's hands were red. He bent down, scooped the blood into the black pot on the pulpit, and began to chant. The men fell flat on the ground, rolling and shouting. The whole church seemed to shake. The lantern flickered. The air felt heavy, like it was pressing me down. Then I heard it again. The cry. From under the pulpit. The same muffled cry I had heard before. Blessing. Her voice was weaker now, but it was her. She was still there. Still alive. Tears ran down my face. My chest hurt. I wanted to run, but my legs refused to move. The pastor suddenly stopped chanting. He turned his head slowly, like he had heard something. His eyes moved toward the window where I was hiding. My heart stopped. For a moment, I thought he was looking straight at me. Our eyes almost met. I dropped flat on the ground, pressing my body against the soil, praying he didn't see me. I heard footsteps inside. Heavy, slow footsteps. Coming closer to the window. I held my breath. My body was shaking so badly I thought the ground would give me away. Then the footsteps stopped. I waited. Seconds felt like hours. Finally, I heard him laugh. A deep, slow laugh. "Nothing can stop me," he said. "Not man. Not spirit. Power is mine." The chanting started again. I crawled away from the window as quietly as I could. My hands and knees were covered in dirt. My chest burned. When I was far enough, I stood and ran. I ran like my life depended on it. My legs felt like fire, but I didn't stop until I reached home. I collapsed on my bed, gasping, shaking, crying. I wanted to scream, but my throat was dry. That night, I swore I would never go back to that church again. But how could I tell anyone? Who would believe me? The next morning, my mother woke me up early. She said we had to get ready for Sunday service. I said I was sick. She touched my forehead and said I was fine. She forced me to dress up. When we got to church, I refused to look at the pulpit. I kept my head down the whole time. But the smell of blood filled my nose. I knew it was there. Underneath. Hidden from everyone else. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. But I sat there, trapped, my hands shaking, my heart pounding. And then, during the service, something happened. The ground shook again. Stronger this time. People gasped. The pastor shouted, "The spirit is moving." But I knew the truth. It was not the spirit. It was her. Blessing. She was still alive. And she was not sleeping. Sugar daddy. The shaking that Sunday was different. It was not like the small tremors before. This one rattled the whole church. People screamed, some fell down, some shouted louder thinking it was the Holy Spirit. But I knew it was not. I felt it in my bones. Something was angry. Something was trying to come out. I sat frozen, staring at the pulpit. My chest hurt, my ears buzzed. Then I heard it again. A scratching sound. From under the floor. Slow, desperate scratching. My heart pounded so loud I thought everyone could hear it. I looked around. Nobody else reacted. Or maybe they heard and pretended not to. Maybe they knew and chose blindness. The pastor raised his hands and shouted, "Fire! Power!" People screamed and clapped. The ground stopped shaking. The scratching faded. The smell of blood remained. After the service, I told my mother I was not going back. She slapped me hard across the face. She said I was being rebellious, that the devil was using me. I cried, but I didn't argue. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Then I heard it again. The footsteps. Slow, heavy, outside our door. My whole body froze. The footsteps stopped. Silence. Then a soft knock. 3 times. My father got up and asked, "Who is there?" Silence. He opened the door a little. Nobody was outside. Only darkness. I knew it was him. Or maybe it was her. For the next few days, I lived in fear. I barely ate. I barely spoke. I walked around like a shadow. One evening, I was returning from fetching water. I passed by the church compound. The gate was open. I stopped. I saw Pastor Samuel standing outside, alone. He was looking at the ground, as if he was talking to it. His lips were moving, but no sound came out. He bent down and touched the soil with his hands, then licked his fingers. I ran before he could see me. That night, I dreamt of Blessing again. This time she was not crying. She was hungry. Her face was pale, her eyes dark, her hands bloody. She pointed at me, then at the church. Then she whispered, "Bring me out." I woke up screaming. My mother rushed in and held me. I told her it was a bad dream. But deep inside, I knew it was not. I tried to stay away from the church, but my parents forced me. Every Sunday, every Wednesday, every Friday. Each time, the ground seemed to breathe under my feet. Each time, I heard faint scratching. I was losing my mind. Then one night, something happened that shook the whole town. A heavy storm came. Rain poured, thunder roared. In the middle of the night, lightning struck the church roof. Part of it caught fire. People rushed out in the rain, shouting, trying to put it out. I stood outside too, watching. And then, through the fire and smoke, I saw it. The ground at the pulpit cracked. Just for a moment. A small crack, But enough. A hand pushed through. Small. Weak. Bloody. It was her hand. I screamed. Nobody else saw it. Or maybe they pretended not to. The crack closed as fast as it opened. The fire was put out. The pastor shouted that the devil was trying to attack the church. People clapped and praised God. But I knew it was not the devil. It was her. After that night, I could not stay in Agbor anymore. I begged my parents to let me visit my aunt in Agbor. They agreed, thinking a change of place would calm me. But the truth followed me. Even in Agbor, I dreamt of her. Even in Agbor, I heard scratching under my bed. Even in Agbor, I smelled the wet soil. One night, I saw her again at my window. Her lips moved. This time I heard the words clearly. You saw. You know. Tell them. I woke up shaking. I knew I couldn't hide forever. That's why I'm writing this now. To tell someone. To tell you. Because I don't know how much longer I can carry it. I don't know how much longer she will wait. Pastor Samuel is still in Agbor. His church is bigger than ever. People travel from other towns to see him. They call him Man of Fire. They say he heals, he delivers, he blesses. But under that pulpit, his daughter is still there. She is not sleeping. And I know one day, she will not just scratch. She will not just whisper. She will not just show herself to me. One day, she will come out. And when she does, everyone will see what I saw. Everyone will know. But I pray I will not be there when it happens. Because I don't think anyone can survive it.